I want to welcome you to the Summer Works Career Sneak Peek Speaker Series, Monday, August 9th. And we are featuring Alan Huite from Toyota Motors. We're delighted to have you join us. My name is Michelle Galbraith. I work at Amy Cell Talent, and I will be facilitating today's session. And with that, I would like to introduce our featured speaker, Alan Huite. Alan is the Central Maintenance Manager for Toyota Motors North America Research and Development in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Toyota has designed, tested, and manufactured vehicles in the United States for over 35 years. Alan graduated from Southern Illinois University with a BS degree in Advanced Technical Studies with a focus in advanced electronics. Prior to joining Toyota in 2017, Alan spent 23 years working in Caterpillar manufacturing plants throughout the US and spent many years maintaining or managing technical staff. And he has a great story to tell you from the beginnings up to where he is today. Thanks so much, Alan. Take it away.
All right. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. My name's Alan Huite. So good afternoon, everybody. My name's Alan Huite, and again, I work for Toyota Motors North America Research and Development here in Ann Arbor, as well as Saline, Michigan. And this is my career sneak peek. If anybody has any questions or during the presentation, just raise your hand and let us know. And we'll be happy to answer your questions. Or if you want to wait till the end, we can answer them then as well. So my first slide is a video to introduce everyone to Toyota R&D. So I'll play this video.
To me, this is a great example of engineering in collaboration, where everybody's working together with this common goal of let's make a better product.
One of the things that I love about working here is there's a nice mix between interacting with the customer, developing the design based on what the customer wants. So it's a very good mix of different things for an engineer to do.
If we want to continue to be the first in the segment, then we need to understand different lifestyle activities that are being used, and so that way we can make a comprehensive product that meets all of our customers' needs.
From an engineering standpoint, this is the golden era at Toyota. We've re-engineered everything in the vehicle, all of our vehicles, and now they're starting to come out.
One of the biggest forms of outreach that we have is regarding hydrogen infrastructure and showing that we are serious about this and that we need the infrastructure to support the vehicle.
We're doing things that no one has ever done before. No one has written a book about it. So we're experimenting, finding it, and then standardizing those new processes.
We are an ideal location because of the weather we have. Low rainfall, good temperatures for testing, low wind. These are all very, very important criteria for doing any kind of testing.
Our goal is to make sure the customer product they receive is great. So we're on the VDA pad, we're on dynamic handling courses, we're going through the slush, we're checking for issues in the cold chamber. We're taking the time to develop these vehicles for the customer.
Okay, that was an introduction to Toyota R&D. A little bit about the vehicles we produce, some of the future technologies like hydrogen was shared in there. as well as some of the testing we do, from extreme temperature testing up north in northern Michigan, all the way to Arizona and in Death Valley, California, where some of the most extreme heat temperatures are. So I'll get into this. Just an introduction to myself. Not originally from Michigan. I grew up in DuQuoin, Illinois, which is at the southern tip of Illinois. The main industry in DuQuoin from the 1800s all the way through the 1980s was coal mining. And in DuQuoin, most families, their parents were coal miners. My father was also a coal miner, but in the late 80s, the coal industry, due to the high sulfur content of the coal, kind of stopped. And I think from a career perspective, there was no more careers in coal mining. So you had to do something. And I chose to go to college and study electronics. My first part-time job, though, during high school, as well as all the way through college, is I worked at a hardware farm store. And I still say that some of the skills, customer focus, some of the things that I learned working at that farm store have stayed with me throughout my entire career, just from a customer focus standpoint. The one item that really excited me about my first job was my ability to earn money so I could purchase a vehicle. And I put a little picture of my first Chevrolet Love pickup truck. It wasn't new, but new to me. And at 16, it was a great way to gain some independence and get back and forth to work. One aspect of my first job, and pretty much all the jobs that I've ever had, was a little insecurity, not knowing how well you'll be able to perform the position. So I've carried that throughout my career, not knowing, you get a new job and you're not sure how you're going to perform or how well you're going to be able to achieve the new position. And I've always kind of told myself that someone was doing the job before I got here. So to me, just comparing yourself and keeping it a level playing field has always helped me. And then one thing that I would tell my young adult self is to be open to change, because change is never easy, but your success may depend on how well you can adapt to change, because that is the one constant. And so my education, I actually went to a 2-year junior college where I did a lot of core electronic technology type classes, AC, DC circuits, digital electronics, things like that, microprocessors. But then some of my general degrees, like communications and speech or mathematics, the one thing that speech really helped me with, in high school I had speech, but it was just on book reports or whatever. But in college, they actually taught you a little bit about how to be a better speaker, and has really helped me in my career, from running projects at work to speaking to audiences that you're unfamiliar with, or unknown audiences, as well as communicating of technical data, project data, from an engineering standpoint. So speech has really helped me throughout my career. And then I moved on after a 2-year associate's degree. I went to Southern Illinois University in Carbondale, Illinois. And there I took some biomedical instrumentation and more electronics courses, but some of the general degrees that I studied that have really helped me throughout my career is technical writing. So just being a concise technical writer helped me with a lot of electrical and electronic communications throughout my career, as well as professional development. So I took one semester of professional development class, and that class really focused on writing resumes and cover letters and how to reach out and connect with people on a professional level, which at the time, I didn't think too much about it, but as I went throughout my career, it really has helped me develop a good professional presence. And then one professional certificate that I'm proud of that I achieved in 2009 was at Caterpillar. After so many years at Caterpillar and working towards my Six Sigma DMAIC black belt certification. So I earned that in 2009, which to me, in order to earn this certification, you have to run 3 projects with a savings of $100,000 in each project. So I was able to earn that in 2 years after I trained to become a black belt. Just covering some of my early life in the beginning of my career. So I was born and raised in DuQuoin, Illinois. I had a lot of part-time jobs as a hot dog stand attendee in front of Walmart, and then I was a laborer out. We have a fairgrounds in DuQuoin, so I was a laborer when the Street Machine Nationals come to town. I was also a janitor student worker at SIU, so I cleaned some of the dorms. And to me, humility or just humbling yourself and being okay with those type of positions has really helped me throughout my career. Every position is important. And in order to complete my degree, I actually internshiped in South Carolina at a company named Biomedical Technical Services. So this was to earn the bachelor's degree, you had to have an internship. And this was where in South Carolina, we traveled all over the state every day. We went to hospitals and worked on medical equipment. And once I graduated from SIU, I was able to get a job at Ciro Copper, and this was in Shelbina, Missouri. I worked there for a few, probably 5 to 6 months, and then was able to relocate to Textron Automotive in Columbia, Missouri. And in these 2 positions at Ciro Copper and Textron, I was able to really build my real world electronic skills, anywhere from welding to how machines work, electronics, PLCs. And I even still had some technical skill sets like welding that I learned in those positions. And then I joined Caterpillar. So it was 1994, October of 1994. Not even 2 years after I'd graduated, I joined Caterpillar and relocated to Peoria, Illinois. And I started there as a maintenance electrician, where I worked on a lot of different machining lines and assembly lines, but really started working with electronic control circuits, computerized numerical controls, PLCs, robots, as well as some transfer lines. And then I was promoted after I was there for a couple of years. I was actually promoted to a facilities maintenance specialist. And in this role, I really helped the maintenance electricians with troubleshooting PLCs and doing some programming, as well as CNC and CNC programming. And then AutoCAD. I upgraded electrical prints using AutoCAD. And then I was promoted to operations engineer, where we actually retrofitted some equipment. We would replace older hardwired equipment with PLCs, and some older CNCs with new technology. So I did that for a few years. And then in 2003, I was promoted to facility engineering supervisor in West Plains, Missouri. So my wife and I loaded up, moved back to Missouri, to the really right above the Arkansas border there. And during that time, I really developed some skills from leadership of people. Oops, sorry. Trying to move this window. And performance management. So when you're a new supervisor, to me, performance management helps a lot in writing down your employees' goals, making sure you hold people accountable for those goals, as well as some inventory control. So I had never really worked in inventory but I had 4 people that managed the crib there, and so I had the responsibility for the inventory of the plant. And then lean manufacturing. We were going through Caterpillar at the time was going through a transformation with lean manufacturing. So myself and my team got involved in that. And then after 3 short years in Southern Missouri, I relocated, was promoted to a Six Sigma black belt position in the suburbs of Chicago. So this was a really important part of my career, and not so much in direct leadership, but influential leadership. And what I mean by that is I didn't have direct reports at the time, but I had teams. I would run projects, and the teams would consist of electrical engineers and mechanical engineers, also manufacturing folks from the joint venture, which is where electronic components for Caterpillar were manufactured. Quality department from that joint venture, as well as I think I mentioned manufacturing and customer facing folks as well. So I ran a lot of projects in 4 years that I was there, and I also achieved my Six Sigma black belt certification in 2009. And then really from 2010 to 2011, I focused a lot on quality. So continuous improvement of products at Caterpillar. So we were always trying to improve the electronics. We were trying to, as you know, electronics that are good today can be obsolete in 5 years. So we had electronic control modules for engines and transmissions that we would retrofit and replace microprocessors or flash RAMs, things like that. And then we would also work on the quality return. So we would get defective modules back, and we would perform a 8D process, which is kind of breaking down what the problem is and going and fixing it so it doesn't reoccur in the manufacturing world. And that was my main focus there. And then I was promoted to manufacturing engineering superintendent, excuse me, in Hickory, North Carolina. So again, we moved to Hickory, North Carolina. And in that position, I was a leader over the manufacturing engineering, the metallurgical staff, as well as the quality department and maintenance. So had a much larger crew, anywhere from, depending on the time and how much manufacturing, from 25 to 40 people. And in this role, there was a lot of challenges. The plant was ISO 9001 certified, so we had to maintain a certain quality level to maintain that certification, but also setting strategy for the group, making sure that we were working on the right things that would continuously improve us, and then setting vision for the entire group. Excuse me. And so in 2016, Caterpillar decided they were going to close this facility, and I sort of had an option to stick with Caterpillar, but not knowing where the future would go, meaning if I would transfer back to Illinois or Missouri or wherever. So I started shopping and looking for new positions online, and I actually ended up interviewing at Toyota Research and Development here in Ann Arbor. It was in April of 2017. I flew up and did the interview in one day and flew back, and thought, I don't know if I can move back to the cold climate, because I'll never forget, it was opening day and the snow was blowing when I landed. And North Carolina had already had the flowers blooming. So to me, it was a real tough challenge for me to make that change, but I ended up making the change. So I've joined Toyota 4 years and a few months ago. And one of the main reasons why I made that change was at Toyota, they had R&D in Michigan area for 40 years, but they had never established a maintenance program for any of the test equipment. And so I thought that would be a really good challenge. I could utilize my project management background and develop a maintenance program, as well as, get to hire the maintenance technicians develop the system exactly as I want, and then develop our processes, select vendors that can also help the technicians that we have, and then of course continuously improve Toyota R&D through the Kaizen process, as well as one thing that I've also focused throughout my career, but one thing at Toyota that's really fell underneath my responsibility is safety of our division. So Toyota Safety Management System, I actually run that for our division, and then Toyota Business Practice. So it's been a good 4 years with Toyota. We've accomplished a lot. And so just a little bit more about Toyota in
Excuse
Michigan
me,
area.
Alan.
Oh, yep,
Oh,
sure.
sorry. Do you want me to go ahead and launch this poll?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So go ahead.
So I guess this poll is, how familiar are people with Toyota?
Great. We have everyone responding.
So it looks like most people are familiar with, should I hit share results here? Most people are familiar with Toyota. 63% of you are familiar with Toyota. All right. Sorry, Michelle, should I hit share results?
Oh, I did already.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So it's still taking up my screen here.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So for those that aren't familiar with Toyota in the Michigan area, or for Toyota as a whole, so Toyota Motors North America is a company that manufactures vehicles in all over the world. And just this past year, we became the largest automotive manufacturer in the world. So what do we do here in the Michigan area? They have the research and development buildings. So we have this building here is down in Saline, Michigan. And this building, they do crash testing. I think in the video, they showed a picture of the vehicle crashing, as well as they actually build prototype vehicles down here, and they design vehicles here. So there's a large office building there in that top picture, and all the North America, almost all the North American vehicles that are built in North America are also designed in North America. And then they also have Toyota Research Institute, which is on the other side of Ann Arbor. And these folks are more of the PhD, working on the future technologies, things like, and I know if you folks have been around the Ann Arbor area or get out much, you've seen self-driving vehicles. So Toyota Research does a lot of self-driving vehicle work and more futuristic items at Toyota. And then Kelty Design Center, which is right beside where I work in Ann Arbor, and they do all the clay modeling and the future design of the vehicles. So the actual body designs. And Kelty stands for California Toyota. This particular building and group was moved from California when Toyota moved their headquarters from California to Texas. So pretty big presence. And I want to say there's probably about 3,000 Toyota employees, and probably another 1,000 to 1,500 corporate partner jobs at Toyota Research and Development in the Michigan area. So some of the things are the variety of the types of equipment that my group supports at Toyota R&D. We do anything from car washes to chillers to forklifts, hoists, vehicle lifts, vehicle movers, environmental chambers. Environmental chambers are things like they can run the vehicle down to a negative 40 C temperature, and then all the way up to 50 C, which is 100 plus degrees. And then they actually test the vehicle while it's in those temperature ranges. We also do air compressors, solar lights, fans, chassis, engine, and transmission dynos. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the dynos. So the dynamometers are machines that measure the mechanical force or power produced by vehicles, engines, and transmissions. So I got a couple pictures here, and this one is like a vehicle dyno. So they're measuring the output of the vehicle as it's ran in a controlled environment. So they're actually measuring the mechanical force, and they'll run these vehicles, you know, through their paces. 1 mile an hour all the way up to 100 miles an hour. In the cold chambers, so this is a chassis dyno, which is the cold chamber. This is the one I was talking about, that we can make it wintertime inside these chambers and run the vehicles in extreme cold conditions. And so my group maintains all the equipment to get the chamber cold and keep it cold while the vehicle testing is going on. The engine dynos, so this is an engine that's coupled to an electric motor, and the electric motor produces, or it measures the forces that the engine can produce, but it also can create torque that would challenge the engine to simulate the vehicle driving on the road. So my group also maintains engine dynos and auxiliary equipment associated with engine dynos. And then this is a transmission dyno. So on the back of all engines, it takes a transmission to take the power from the engine and put it to the wheels. So the transmission is actually what does that. And we test the transmissions with electric motors as well. So that's a little bit about the equipment that my group supports. My first job as a maintenance technician, I started on an off shift. It was like a 3 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. at night, maintenance technician, where I completed preventive maintenance tasks and repairs to production equipment. The reason why I was pointing this out is when you first start, it's not often that you start at the best shift, which is usually day shift. So I've worked all 3 shifts. I worked day shift, which is during daylight hours. I've worked the second shift a lot in my career, but I've also worked the third shift, which is 12 or midnight to 7 in the morning. So as a maintenance technician, in growing in an organization, you may be asked to work some off shift. The one thing about that shift, though, is the first company that I worked for, I took advantage of their willingness to train me on PLC computer-based training. And basically, the company allowed me to stay after shift after 11:30 p.m. and I would stay till 1, 2 in the morning and train on PLCs. So that was a good perk of that zero copper. I also learned high voltage or 480 volt AC 3-phase power systems while I was there in my first role, which is really important because these power systems, it's good to be familiar with them and how they operate, but from a safety aspect, you don't want to jump right in. So it was good that I had someone show me a lot about these systems and train me. And then the PLC training and the understanding of the power systems led me to accept other positions with more technical responsibility as well as more compensation. So the more I learned about how things worked in a manufacturing environment, the more it opened doors to better positions with more responsibility. So in my,
Excuse me,
oh,
Alan.
yep, go ahead.
Sorry, is this a good time to launch the pool for skills requirement for vehicles?
Sure, sure.
So the question is, do you understand the skills required for maintaining equipment used to manufacture and test vehicles? We've got some answers trickling in right now. And I will go ahead and, oh, it's okay. This is just to give us an idea of where everybody has understanding of requirements for vehicles. So no worries. I'm going to go ahead and launch and share those results.
So it looks like most people don't understand the skills required. So I will touch on that in a future slide here and bring everyone up.
Thank you.
Yep. So in my current role as a maintenance manager at Toyota R&D, this role is more about developing and leading people, projects, and team initiatives, more so than providing technical support. So I still provide technical support, but I'm more leading people in the direction of the group. And as a leader, you must always strive to better your staff and their knowledge. It's human nature for people to take the path of least resistance. So it can be difficult to set goals that push people outside of their comfort zones, but it always leads to personal growth of the individuals and a lot of times career development. Like I mentioned above, the more I learn technically, the more opportunities or additional positions and I guess really job opportunities they produced. So for me, the next opportunity that I would like to get into is because I spent most of my Caterpillar career in manufacturing, I would like to get into manufacturing at Toyota. So some of the specific skill sets that are needed, and I took some pictures because I think pictures can share a lot, but electrical wiring inside a control cabinet. So this is a relay machine that has a lot of relays in here, but understanding what all the wires do, and then being able to look at a blueprint and understand how it works, as well as this is a PLC cabinet. So this is a programmable line controller cabinet. So unlike the relay cabinet, this is computer based, and it tells, I guess, through a program like this one down here in the lower right hand corner, it tells the machine what to do and when to do it. So understanding how these programs work and how to program them and how to troubleshoot them is all, what we do on a daily basis. This picture is a transfer line. So when I was at Caterpillar, I worked on a lot of transfer lines and let's say an engine cylinder head that they would manufacture. You would start as a rough block or a rough head. And when it came out the other end, it would be machined and finished. So there's a lot of slides that go in and do the machining on the raw casting. So you learn a lot about programming and computerized numerical controls and as a maintenance technician. VFDs, so this is a picture of a variable frequency drive. So they run pumps and fans and a lot of things that are rotational movement. You have VFDs, which are programmable as well, on how fast you want to run a fan or how slow you want to run a fan or a pump. And then a couple pictures of robots. So throughout my career, I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of robot training, and robots can do a lot of things. They can, I know at Toyota, we have a lot of weld robots where they actually weld the body of the vehicle. But in my career, I've used robots as transferring material down an assembly line that's too heavy to pick up by humans, or apply sealants or glue. So there's a lot of applications, moving boxes. I've just seen a lot building the actual cylinder head. So it's been a great journey with learning robotics and how to program robots. And then this picture of a CNC machine. So I don't know if anyone's familiar with CNC, but basically you're cutting a block of metal into a usable part. So you have a program inside this computer that tells the axis of the machine where to go and how to cut the parts. So just kind of a lot of technical skills that I've picked up over the years. And then here's some products that resulted from basically what my career, the technology that used throughout my career to manufacture these products, anything from the first place I worked, I didn't really cover that real. I only spent 2 months there, but we built pager electronics. If anybody remembers pagers, which I'm sure that was well before most of your time. And then I went to the copper factory and we made copper tubing, automotive dashboards. So I worked at a company for about 9 months that made just automotive dashboards. And then, of course, I joined Caterpillar, and Caterpillar makes all types of equipments, from large dump trucks to wheel loaders to engines. They make a lot of engines for pumps and generator sets, as well as logging equipment, small skid steers. So if you've ever been by a construction site on the interstate, you've probably seen Caterpillar equipment at work. And then the last 4 years, we work on automobiles. So Toyota produces almost 2 or right at 2 million vehicles a year in the North America, and about 10 million vehicles a year as a whole across the world. And some of the popular models here are the Toyota Tacoma and the 4Runner, which we test today in Ann Arbor. Some of the skills and abilities required to be a successful maintenance technician. So this kind of ties back to the poll of what type of skills you need to possess to be a good maintenance technician. Hands-on repair of equipment. So if you're mechanically or electrically inclined and good with tools, I know when you're younger, there's not a lot of opportunity, but if you fix your own bicycle or lawnmower, or take things apart to understand how they work, you just got to be good with tools and be more of a hands-on person. Technical knowledge and theory of how equipment works. So even though a lot of what you learn in college from a technical side, you may not use everything you learn, but the theory and the principles you do use. So things like Ohm's law, I still use when I go out and help people today with how to troubleshoot equipment. So there are theories that you have to know that you learn in college. Problem solving and troubleshooting. Just being able to assess a problem and then come up with a solution to address that problem. Versatility. So back on my equipment slide, like I said, we work on a lot of different equipment. It may be dynamometers one day, but then the next day it may be a forklift, or a badge reader on the forklift won't work. So to me, we're just always working on something different. And time management, being efficient. You know, me as a leader, when I assign people tasks, I have an idea in my mind how long this task will take, and just making sure that you can meet those times for working on the equipment. Communication and personable skills. So some of the goals that my team receives year after year is improving equipment, reducing the amount of downtime. And then when they do those things, I want them to present on themselves, of things that they improved, the equipment they improved, or the processes they improved. So we actually have a monthly team meeting, and with all of the team that I report to, and they present, take turns presenting in that meeting, and presenting some of their Kaizen or improvements. And this is where written communication helps. Not only that, with presenting what you have improved, but also written communication from in a work order, in our work order tracking system, telling the next guy how you fix something. It's really important that you can communicate what you did to fix it, so the next guy can learn from those notes, as well as written communication to the customer saying, hey, the equipment's repaired, it's ready to run again. So we do a lot of written communication via email or Word, or other Microsoft products like Excel and PowerPoint. And then capable of assessing risk. So it's really important as a maintenance technician that you don't get yourself hurt. So you have to understand the risk of all things before you dig into repairing them. So being able to assess safety risk is really important. So I want to touch on some of the leadership skill set development that I have acquired over the years, and plan, do, check, act. So this is I hear a lot of this at Toyota, the plan, do, check, act. Basically, you're setting up a plan. You go and you have your team implement the plan, and then you check and see how it went. Did it go to plan? And then you act at the end if you need to make any changes to come back to keep that process going. So the funny thing is it lines with Six Sigma tech. So the make process is a Six Sigma process that I learned at Caterpillar: define, measure, analyze, improve, control, but it still aligns with plan, do, check, act. 8D, which I mentioned that we use the 8D process, which is actually a Ford process. It comes from Ford Motor Company. We've also used that, which is very similar to plan, do, check, act. And then the Toyota business process, where we're clarifying problems, we break the problem down, we set targets, and we analyze the root cause of the problem. And then we develop countermeasures for those problems. We implement the countermeasures, and then we evaluate results and we standardize. So to me, we're checking, just like in the ACT portion, we check to make sure things are working well. And if not, we adjust to keep this process going. So I thought this was a very good slide. And no matter throughout my career, I've utilized similar processes throughout it. As a leader, I set mission for the team or vision and strategy for the team. So it's good to know where you're going, have a good vision of how we're going to get there, and then setting the strategy to get you there. As far as leadership, some of the traits or competencies is just empowering your people, encouraging your people, but then displaying values. You have to display the values if you want people to act like you're acting, and then supply a vision to the team. So as a leader, it's real important that you can build relationships, manage the workload of your people and yourself, and then grow your team. It's great to be able to grow the skill set of your team members to make them more successful as you go along. So one word at Toyota they use is Kaizen, which is continuously improve. So just when you think that the process can't get any better, we'll run a Kaizen project and improve the process. So that is one thing that was very similar to Six Sigma, is you can always improve the process, especially if the process can be measured, then you can see the actual improvements. And one other note, just OSHA, which is Occupational Safe Health Organization. It's a government organization, and throughout my career, safety is really important. So understanding OSHA, the government regulations in manufacturing and for maintenance technicians is really important part of my career. Just a few notes on the pandemic. So Toyota's response to the pandemic initially in April, or it was the end of April in 2020, we sent all the work come to a stop, and we sent my team home. So all Toyota R&D went home for the month of April. And during that time, I utilized, everyone has laptop computers. So we use our laptop computers to create job plans and standardized work for preventative maintenance on the equipment. So what that means is just take a simple piece of equipment and write the plans of work that you're going to do on that equipment in periodic timing. So if you're going to, for instance, we have a fan and you're going to change the belts once a year, you would write the steps that it took to change the belts during that preventative maintenance task. And we use the month of April and a little bit of May to stay at home and write those job plans. So we were able to still keep people working on technical items, but it was on the computer. And then in May, we were deemed essential and we came back on site. So it's probably mid-May before we got everyone back, but once we were back on site, we followed all CDC and state guidelines, and we still do today. So I will say that there's still probably 70% of like a lot of the engineers and folks at Toyota that are still working from home, but my group is all back, and we've been back since May of 2020.
Alan, I'm just going to
Yeah,
let you
sure.
know we have about 10 minutes. It goes by so fast.
Oh, wow. Yeah, okay. Well,
And 2 polls left.
You want to share one of the other polls?
Will do.
All right. I'll keep talking here while she shares. Oh, there we go. So I'll read it. How do you improve your creative skills or learn new ones? Everybody's quickly answering these questions. So it looks like a lot of after school clubs or classes to utilize your creative skills. You want to go ahead and do the last poll?
Just sharing the results real quick.
Okay.
As Alan mentioned, a lot responded in classes or after school clubs.
Yep.
Where they hone in. As well as YouTube, free YouTube, online resources.
Which YouTube is a really handy tool nowadays. I've actually, even my guys utilize YouTube from time to time. And then have you ever sold creative work you've made, like art, music, writing, etc.? So a lot of people participating, they either are selling their creative work or they would like to. So it's very interesting.
Yeah.
All right. You want to share the results of that one?
So there's the results. So some have sold a few times and others are not as interested in selling. But,
Yep.
Or some might be interested in selling but haven't had a chance to.
Yep. It's very interesting. So I'll wrap this up. I think I only have a couple more slides, but some of the things that I've done in my career to help share best practices is I helped create a manufacturing engineering learning council back in 2015, and we shared best practices throughout Caterpillar. I also volunteer through the Habitat for Humanity in Huron Valley, where they rebuild homes in Ypsilanti for 2018, 2019. Of course, COVID changed that, and they're not doing much in 2020 and 2021. And then mentoring, and I noticed Josh is attending this session, so I mentored Josh in 2020, just helping out. So Toyota does have diversity inclusion, and they have a lot of groups within Toyota, anywhere from being a veteran to African American pets. So they actually have people that love their pets. They have some of those groups, and women influencing and impacting Toyota. So we have a lot of business and partnering groups within Toyota. I think Tara is working with the state on planting trees and things like that. So just a lot of diverse groups that you can join and do some fun things on the weekends to help support Toyota, but also support better causes or bigger causes. One thing that excites me about Toyota is their vision towards mobility. So they have a future of transportation, and they believe that mobility is constantly evolving. Not everyone's going to own a vehicle someday. So to me, they think that we're heading towards the future. And I actually have a YouTube video documented in here that you guys may want to go check out. It's the president of Toyota talking about a futuristic city with future ways to get around the city. Toyota is also, we are currently looking for a student to sponsor in the Federation of Advanced Manufacturing program. So this will probably begin in January now, but it would be for a junior college student that's willing to go into mechatronics and then work. They work 24 hours a week, and then they go to school the other 2 days through the mechatronics program to become a maintenance technician. So we are looking to do that right now. If anyone has any interest, reach out to me and I can work with you to get you signed up to potentially be selected for that. The other thing that Toyota does offer college internships for people that are studying engineering and some probably more advanced skills. And then I also have a link to the Toyota careers website. So I was telling Michelle last week that Toyota's posted probably 7, 8 different maintenance technician jobs, not so much in Michigan, but in other areas of the country in their manufacturing plants. So they're always needing good maintenance technicians. And then some of the trends and innovations. So Toyota's big on automated and self-driving cars. The Woven City, like I mentioned, is a YouTube video. It's kind of interesting to watch that video, and then maybe even flying cars, which is also mentioned in the YouTube video. So role models, I'll just touch on this quickly, but my parents taught me to work hard and contribute positively to society. I had a really good grade school principal that taught me to always take responsibility as a leader. And then a former manager that I had at Caterpillar to set challenging goals with my direct reports and hold them accountable to those goals. My motto, or kind of parting here, is you'll always encounter resistance when you set out to accomplish something meaningful. It's just a saying that I found on the internet one day, and I thought, well, that's pretty profound. When you're trying to do meaningful work, there's always some resistance associated with it. And that's where the change comes in. You have to be willing to change and get used to being uncomfortable. So the more you're willing to work outside your comfort zone, the further you will expand your career. And I believe that to be pretty much any career, not necessarily just a maintenance technician or a maintenance manager, but any career you decide to pursue. So, and then I have my contact information here at the end. So if anybody wants to reach out or just connect with me on LinkedIn, I'd be more than happy to connect with you. So I believe that's it. Are there any questions?
Yes, feel free to put questions in the chat window or in the Q&A if you'd like. So we can announce your question to the group and Alan will be happy to answer it. Oops, there we go. Alan, this was fantastic. It was great to hear your transition from where you grew up, as well as all the different skills that you picked up along the way and how important it is to build those skills and take those opportunities to gain those skills that will eventually open doors for you. I captured that in the chat window as well, and how important that is. And given your experience, you've had the opportunity to live in so many different locations in Missouri and Illinois and now Michigan. Oh, in North Carolina as well.
Yeah, and South Carolina. So, yep.
So it has brought
really
you a lot of different places. So for those that are looking to even have the opportunity to travel, that happens within, you know, in the maintenance world and the equipment.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
And having the opportunity to work with Caterpillar, working with construction type vehicles, to transitioning everything that you learned, those transferable skills, onto the automotive side and more of the mobility side of things.
Yep. So it all transfers. I mean, equipment's equipment. So what's manufacturing Caterpillars is also used to manufacture vehicles. So
Mhm.
yep.
One of the questions that has come up and that is asking a little bit about what does your typical day look like for you, Alan?
So my typical day, I get there early. I get in at 7 a.m. and I usually have a kickoff meeting with my team to understand, what equipment's down, what we're doing for the day, just trying to set the clarification for everyone on what I need them to do to get done that day. There's also some feedback to other managers, making sure that we are working on the right things. I do a lot of audits for safety. So if I assign my guys to go out and work on equipment, I might follow them and go out and make sure they're working safely and making sure they're wearing their proper PPE and things like that. There's always a project or two that I'm working on. So in a little bit of, like right now is audit season for the safety process. So also getting documents ready to make sure that we'll pass our internal safety audit. And it's never boring. I can tell you that there's always something to work on. There's always something to do. So that's kind of the day in the life of me. I know that was pretty simple, but I stay busy the whole time I'm at work.